the spotlight.
I think you should stay there. And hello, everyone. And congratulations to all of you on a very successful third Metabolic Health Conference. And I think these conferences should be held in the Vigyan Bhavan. And it should be taken up at that level. The kind of crisis we are witnessing today in India in terms of our health, especially of our children. We are a young society, and children and youth health is very important for the future of the nation. The healthier people we have, the healthier economy we'll have, and the healthier country we'll have. So, D-Life, I congratulate you for this, and Anup and Shashi, and especially Ira. Thank you. Thank you for inviting me.
Pankaj ji, you are somebody people are used to seeing on TV, and it's quite a fan moment for all of us to have you here. What a pleasure to have you associated with such a critical event that's shaking up the world and India right now. A bit about Pankaj ji. As you all know, he's a senior print and broadcast journalist with more than 3 decades of experience in working with leading media such as NDTV, BBC, India Today magazine, The Sunday Observer, and more. I mean, we've seen Pankaj all over the place. Pankaj has been the recipient of several national and international journalism awards. For over 2 years, he worked as the communication advisor to the Prime Minister of India, late Dr. Manmohan Singh, assisting his office in managing national and international media. During his tenure with the Prime Minister's office, he designed and executed media strategies across the platform for international events like G20 summits and more. I mean, you would see Pankaj's name everywhere, out there, BRICS Summit and United Nations General Assembly and all of that. Thank you so much, Pankaj, for coming, and it gives such a boost to the event that we are holding, your presence and your insights into this event. So let's begin by talking about, during his 38th National Games opening ceremony, the Prime Minister of India, Mr. Narendra Modi, finally highlighted the rise in obesity India is witnessing as a rampant rise in metabolic issues. As a veteran media person, how do you see India's serious, I would call it a health catastrophe and an epidemic, which you also said right now? How do you see the picture emerging?
See, I've been going through the D-Life app and your insights for more than a year now. And I get a lot of information from that personally and for friends, and which I share with people. It's a epidemic in the making, that we can say that. The Prime Minister has done very well to point out this during national games, which are basically, youths are participating there. And I hope he takes it forward. And it's very important that someone at high office is talking about this openly. We are seeing the Kumbh these days. All the VIPs are going there. And when they take the dip in the Ganga, you can see the borderline obesity cases which are in our society. And it's good that the PM has underlined the problem of obesity, and which is related to diabetes. So that's number one. I remember in 2008-2009, the government under the Planning Commission had set up a pulses mission for India to increase the production of pulses, which are the main source of protein in India. And that was a move in the right direction, because we used to import a lot of pulses from all over the world, from Turkey, from Burma, now Myanmar, Indonesia, Thailand, and it was a strain on the exchequer. Now you can imagine the problem of obesity and the problem of the exchequer become the same, that you are importing protein. So the pulses mission had one mission, that to keep the production of pulses very high in India and become self-sufficient. So that was something which went into this direction. And metabolic health is in the root of all our happiness and welfare. And the government should, I think, as I said earlier, it's not in jest that we should run a campaign, the government should run a campaign with the participation of people like D-Life on the level of Beti Bachao, Beti Padhao Andolan. Because 20 years down the line, when I look around, the number of people who are unhealthy, the number of people who are becoming ill because of metabolic problems, and especially because of our food habits and food intake, is going to increase multifold. Our lives have changed. We are not a arboreal society. We are not hunter gatherers where you eat and then you work physically for your food. Now we are not doing that. And to balance that, we need to discipline our diets. And that's what I've been learning from D-Life. Another thing which is very important is that we have to tell people. Another person I follow for my health information is Mark Hyman on Instagram and on Twitter. And he recently quoted a study that the molecule of sugar and the molecule of alcohol is the same. Yeah. I heard a number of times when Shashi and Mr. Cherian was talking about it. Addiction, the word came up again and again, be it for processed food, be it for sugar, they are the same. And that's why we do not give alcohol to minor children, because it is addictive, number one, and number two, its molecule is the same, and it really harms your liver. I have been there, not because of alcohol, but I had fatty liver, got it in control. And diabetes, my doctor had told me that you are a borderline case, so you must do something about it. And I used to go to the National Heart Institute here in Delhi, not to some other place, but to a heart institute to get my annual health checkup. And the doctor told me that you are becoming borderline diabetic and you should do something about it. And with the help of information I get from you guys and from other sources, which are reliable, I also heard about misinformation and WhatsApp groups, which are spreading misinformation about haldi khalo or tulsi khalo or that kind of thing, which we fall prey to that a lot in India, and which should be stopped. There should be a...
I'm so glad you brought this up, Pankaj, because these are just band-aid solutions. It doesn't work unless the fundamentals of your diet and nutrition are right. Eating healthy or eating ginger and all these things are, at best WhatsApp forwards. And, they've not given results. The only evidence-based, protocol that has reversed or that has helped improve the, metabolic health markers is the low-carb dietary intervention. The testimonial of the fact, testimony to this, fact is that we have organized 3 conferences now, and top doctors from around the world. Now we are touching the 100th number. I mean, a total of all 3 conferences, about 100 doctors from around the world have spoken about it already. So, I'm so glad you brought this up. If I can just repeat the question that I asked, since you're talking about so much, in-depth and policy kind of things. I mean, what you have to say to this, that children are being fed, khichdi, as Dilip said before you, and not being given eggs, which is so vital for your, for your development. We are struggling with child malnutrition and stunting both. And it's an epidemic. Just because we don't know, or it's not there in the public domain, I mean, it doesn't make it any smaller. We are raising a generation of pygmies and sick pygmies, maybe.
It's very unfortunate that this khichdi has become a controversy, and rightly so, because the absence of good protein in children's food is a must. If you have noticed recently, because India's health indicators are improving a little bit, we are winning more medals globally. We have recently, I was looking at a javelin thrower who's a champion, and he's 6.4 foot high. And I say these kind of people would never make it. But we are doing that. We are becoming champions because some people have very few number of people in India have got their food habits right. And these are the people you see getting medals and awards across. So if we want India demographically, which is healthier, and which happened to China. We've seen it very clearly. China was almost zero until the 80s in terms of global sports. And within 20 years, because of the policies of the government, because of the right direction on healthy diets in the schools, is now a superpower in all kind of games and sports. And that is just one manifestation. Because if your diet is unhealthy, your brain, I've read research on malnutrition. A number of times I've worked with UNICEF on their malnutrition program, that the development of your brain is halted or
Yes,
stunted
that's true.
when you are undernourished. And that has been a big problem in India. And by removing eggs from the diet from schools, we are doing a disservice to our next generation. Because an egg has nothing to do with culture, an egg has nothing to do with I'm a Brahmin and I'm from Mathura, by the way. And I've had my parents were vegetarians, but when they realized that I was a sickly child and I had an operation of a tumor very early, around when I was 4 or 5 years old, they thought that I need some more protein and good food. So I was allowed not only to buy eggs and cook my own eggs, but later on, I actually had a chicken coop in my house in Mathura, because they realized that this child needs a special diet. And fortunately, I've played a lot of sports for my school, for my college. And just by that one concession, which my parents were making in terms of their dietary habits, they say, okay, we don't eat it, but you go ahead and eat it. And that has had an absolutely fantastic impact on my own health. And now, as I grew up, and we are a very sedentary sort of businesses. When you are a news anchor, you have to sit in studios for long hours. Your posture is bad. You don't move around too much. You can't take too many toilet breaks. So then I realized that I was developing these problems, and with the help of right information on your metabolism, your health, and your food intake, I could control that. So that is very important. That I think that I've answered your question there.
Yeah. Pankaj, we are, as you said, as somebody at D Life and, through this metabolic health conferences, we are, I think in India, we have led the metabolic health space. And as far as, using low carb dietary interventions are concerned to reverse chronic lifestyle diseases. And we have about, thousands and thousands of success stories on the D Life forum itself. I'd be very glad to give you access of the D Life forum. You also have recipes over there. And, so glad that you associated with us, and it gives us great boost and great thrust, to spread the message across. I would want Shashi and Anup to come on the screen. And as I ask the last question to Pankaj, tell us, Pankaj, what is your thought on the work that D Life and the metabolic health conferences in the context of India are doing? We are a very, very sick nation where, at the root cause of all things, we are wrong, right? Like, at nutrition of children and stuff like that. A vegetarian propagating nation who talks about, virtuous and non-virtuous in terms of food, and it's largely food politics. So how do you see all of that scenario? What is your message to D Life, to metabolic health conferences, and to Indians at large?
No, you people are doing absolutely sterling work, because what we need right now is good and dependable information, which is not available. Thanks to the social media and the way it works, and the way you get your clickbaits and more traffic on your sites, a lot of disinformation is going around. And D Life is doing very good work. Anup, you, and I would like to also congratulate Dilip, who brought my attention to your work. And so main thing is that we need to have good information in the system. So I keep myself getting this information, and there is no dearth of good information, but it's the awareness about that is not too much. Like the Indian government, you'll be shocked. Central Council for Research in Homeopathy, NIEPMD, and the government and the Department of Ayush, they have now a whole compendium on nutritional data of common Indian food when we are talking about India. And this is published in Chennai under Central Council for Research for Homeopathy and Ministry of Ayush. Now, this compendium has every data about our daily food, that what we are eating, like simple things like about rice, about wheat, and what kind of rice, what kind of wheat, milk, eggs, what kind of low carb vegetables are there. So, and it has charts and all that. So what I do basically is I go through that and design the food intake on basis on that. Then I talked about Mark Hyman, who's been, a leading researcher in this. By just reducing the carbs in the food, how it can really improve your basic lifestyle and your experience in life. Once I started doing this, and it should also go hand in hand, and the Prime Minister said that the sports inauguration, it should also go hand in hand with exercise. I think guys should also talk about that. Low
Yes.
carb is fine, but you should also, mix it with some sort of exercise, and not very complicated stuff. Just walking 4,000, 5,000 steps 4 times a week, 3 times a week. It helps a lot for you. Helps a lot your metabolism, and that is what we are discussing here. And it's not. See, there's no silver bullet in this. So you people are talking about one part of that, which is the low carb diet, which is very good. And I think there should be competitions among the schools which are giving these midday meals, that which is the best tasting low carb khichdi, or among the restaurants. I mean, you look at the kind of food we have in restaurants these days. It's all very Instagrammable sort of food.
Yeah,
We do
I
not
think
talk about.
you brought a very pertinent point, and I think on that note, I would like to call Anup and Shashi on the screen, to have the last word with you. And as far as talking about the nutritional data, Pankaj, let me tell you, our D-Life forum has been talked about by LCHF stalwarts like Dr. David Unwin, Gary Fetke, and all of these people have reviewed the D-Life websites. As I said, I would be very happy that we give you the access to the D-Life forum, wherein you will find 2000 plus original low carb keto recipes, and all of those broken down into right till macros and micros. So it's the biggest collection of original low carb keto recipes that D-Life has built over 10 years. And Anup, would you like to say anything about that?
Yeah, first, good morning, Pankaj, and welcome. This is your first appearance, and I'm sure, down the line as we make it bigger and bigger, you'll always be there. Now, a few points, important points that you made was, sugar is never given to a kid. And you quoted Dr. Mark Hyman. Now, I would like to, highlight one. Dr. Lustig had said many a times, he's a pediatric endo, that sugar is alcohol for a child. Right. But the problem is it is not just sugar, because every digestible carbohydrate that we eat, body turns it into sugar.
Yeah.
This most of the people miss, right? And second was, looking ahead at where we are headed to right now, 1/3 of Indian population has got non-alcoholic fatty liver. Even kids as old as, as young as 8 years or 9 years, they're landing up with fatty liver. And I think you talked about haldi and all those churans that is given. Now the latest, superhero is Moringa.
Yes.
I've seen many tweets, people tweeting about Moringa, take it for vitamin C. They don't go by numbers. To get 500 mg of vitamin C, you'll have to eat 1 kg of Moringa leaves. Can you do it? No. Answer is no. You'll wreck your gut and basically, pollute your drainage system, or maybe
And you'll be broke.
Yeah, you'll be broke. And coming back to the most important point, eggs. I don't know where this policymakers lost it. Well, I was in boarding school before every sports meet, inter-school. And this, I'm talking of a big name boarding school, St. George's College, Missouri. We were served extra eggs before these inter-school sports meets started. I mean, that was, and irrespective of whether you're a vegetarian, non-vegetarian, if you have to participate in sports, you have to eat them, otherwise get lost. Now, the fourth important point, possibly, we are communicating telepathically when you said that these conferences should be held in Vigyan Bhavan. Now, we have in plans to, have physical, as we call it, physical, not virtual conference, where people see face to face each other and experts talking. So this is there in plan. Shashi will talk more about it as we wind up this session. And thank you very much for coming. I'm sure we'll be inviting you again, and you will be available again down the line for all these seasons that we host subsequently. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And I wish you all the best. You are doing God's work. And one thing which I can leave you with, one idea is that, that a healthy nation is basically a prosperous nation, and metabolic health is very important. Now that we have scientific evidence, we have people like you who are working so hard about it, and that would be the key to India's future. If we have a healthy population, we'll have a healthy nation. And thank you again for inviting me.
So thank you, Pankaj. I think the key word you told, that the metabolic health. By far, metabolic health is something which is totally ignored, or off late now it has come into the fore. And I think such conferences will make an impact, and presence of public figure like you will actually help further the cause of metabolic health and recovery. Thank you.
Anything else?
Thank you so much for coming, Pankaj ji. We look forward to having you again whenever we host it, even if it's physical. And I will leave you with again, Anup and Shashi are here, by giving you access to the D-Life forum, so you can check out everything, the premium data that we have built over 10 years. And actually, since 2011, that Anup has been talking about low carb and 100-gram carbs per day. So you will have access to all of that and more. And thank you so much for coming.